please welcome Belmond Senior Vice President, Brand and Marketing, Arnaud Champenois, and Black Tomato Group owner and co-founder, Tom Marchant, in conversation with Skift President, Carolyn Kremins.
Good afternoon, Arnaud and Tom, and hello to all of our attendees. Today's conversation, we're going to take a look at how luxury may shift out of this pandemic and what it means for the travel industry as we respond to consumers' desires. We have two distinct companies in the luxury travel sector joining us today. First, Arnaud Champenois from Belmond, a hospitality and leisure company. It was acquired by LVMH back last April, and they operate hotels, the Orient Express, and river cruises worldwide. And Tom Marchant, one of three founders of Black Tomato, which is a bespoke luxury travel company that delivers unique, tailored travel experiences around the world. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So during some of the earlier sessions today at the forum, we heard leisure travel will be the first to return. And the bright spot for both of you is luxury travelers are often more crisis-proof. So let's start with you, Tom. Are your affluent clients traveling again? And if so, are they looking for different experiences than they did a year ago? And how have you pivoted accordingly?
Well, yeah, they certainly are. I think the most important thing is they want to travel. There's no doubt about that. I think over the period of what we've just seen, there was an initial pause and a reflection, a determination to understand what was going to play out. And yeah, inquiries are coming in and bookings are being made. They're not clearly yet at the kind of pre-COVID levels, but we are seeing sort of an emergence of interest in bookings, which is extremely heartening given the challenges the industry has had. In terms of have things changed in terms of what they're looking for? It's kind of yes and no. I think what we've seen really is certainly a recalibration in terms of what's important when planning the trip. That I think that includes areas that perhaps were never as significant with the planning. So logistics has never been more important for people. Can they get in? Can they get out? I mean, that's after simply can they go to a place. And then actually, look, the kind of travel that Black Tomato has always offered has generally been quite exclusive, quite remote, quite unique. So we're not having to kind of pivot into a brand new product range. We weren't known for bustling city breaks, so that hasn't been as much of a challenge. But really, it's actually about being able to bring the journey to the customer on the journey with us as we plan into next year and make them aware of where they can go and what they can do. And we've certainly seen some short-term innovation. I think we really focused on our US domestic products, in those early months when the challenges around taking to the air were really strong, and they still are. But we've seen some great products being launched in the US, and that's sold extremely well. And now we're just looking at the rest of this year, but into 2021, and there's a lot of these R's that are being talked about. People are talking about going somewhere to recharge or regroup with friends, or to relax, or to reboot, and then remote. It's all about remote. Right. And again, it's stuff that we know and we do quite well. And the last R I would say is road trips. Road trips have become to be all-encompassing conversation, and that's both domestically but also further afield. People are looking to do some fantastic road trips in South America next year. So I think part of it's been a reaction to COVID, but also this discussion of this type of product has started planting seeds in people's minds about, I'd love to get on the road again and do some amazing stuff. Right.
And you started a program, right, with, I think, Mercedes and Auberge Hotels?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that right?
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did. We launched a collection of road trips with Auberge and Mercedes in the US. And road trips in the US has always been quite a strong area for us. That's a personal passion point of mine. So there's a bias there for sure. But again, I think that was a case of a few brands coming together quite quickly, looking at the challenging circumstances, understanding that there were customers who wanted to travel, who perhaps would normally go further afield, but wanted to do something fantastic, in their backyard. And there's a real reminder that America has just some stunning experiences and fantastic properties. So we pulled that together and launched that. And so far, we've had a fantastic reception.
Right. Innovation is key. Speaking of which, Arnaud, some of Belmond's hotels are open for business, right? The last 2 weeks, the Hotel Cipriani opened in Venice, and Hotel Splendido. And by the end of the summer, if everything goes well, Belmond will have more than half its properties open, including the Orient Express, which will hopefully start service in August.
Yeah, correct.
Belmont's been very proactive with its visual inspiration and escapism during the shutdown. And you're doing all kinds of virtual programming. So my question is, do people need to be inspired to travel again? And through these marketing efforts, has Belmond opened the door to a broader set of travelers who are dreaming of traveling again?
I think so. Thank you for the question. I think somehow lockdown has enabled us to democratize the brand a bit. It was very interesting for us to dialogue with our audience, and through social media, we saw a shift on how people were really engaging with us, and it was very much a two-way conversation. And it was important to create this travel community and to share our passion for travel. And Instagram has been a key element of our strategy. I do think today Instagram is a bit the new Lonely Planet. Somehow it in the way people search for travel and how they engage. And it's not only for millennials, I think targeting people for their passion for travel has been very important for us. And we tried to bring a bit of magic of Belmond at home through, Instagram TV, augmented reality filter, where you can project yourself in the wonderful world of Belmond. I think we did a lot of live streaming. We did a lot of trade webinars as well for our travel partners. So the idea was really to engage and to have this kind of communication with the travel world, and to show our passion for travel, and to definitely be optimistic. And I think today what is important is that, as Tom said, we see a real desire for the top tier of luxury customer to travel again. I think 60% of them say they can't wait to travel again, according to BCG. So we definitely need to engage more and more and communicate with both future travelers. And I think three things are important. The first thing is confidence. We need to make sure that people are comfortable again to travel again. So it's about hygiene and safety. It's about the protocols that we have implemented to make sure they are absolutely 100% sure that they will be safe. I think it's about reassurance. We need to make sure and that the promise of the guest experience will be as good as before, even better, And I think this is going to be very important for us to balance service and hospitality. So service is very much about the good thing to do, and we will have technology to guarantee that seamless service, the apps, what we know about our guests through data, how to make the trips personal, but at the same time, hospitality with personality is going to be very, very important for us. And it's the magic of Belmond somehow. It's how we try to deliver incomparable, genuine travel, and to make sure that Belmond way is the warmth, the intimacy that we are famous for.
Yeah, you are famous for that, for sure. It must be challenging, though, to try to implement all that, especially the service side, while there's social distancing. But I know there's many ways around that, so I'm sure you're working that out. Tom, I can't imagine how difficult it must be to plan travel these days, right? Like you and other travel advisors, you've pivoted from being an advisor to now being a risk navigator, right? You need to be up to speed on every detail, from border closings to understanding local hospital capabilities and capacity, down to navigating individual property sanitization policies. And while some destinations are offering incentives for travelers to come visit, Cambodia, which has had 0 COVID-19 deaths, and I think only 141 cases as of today, they're now demanding a $3,000 deposit for any inbound traveler to cover medical and funeral expenses should your client get sick. But it's refundable if you're okay. So my question is that do you think these barriers will deter and spook some of your more cautious clients to travel there? Or do you think that they're going to feel like the government has taken it seriously and thought through all the implications? I know that you've sent people to Cambodia all the time. Would you recommend your clients go to Cambodia now with this deposit scheme in place?
Yeah, it's a big question. I mean, just to go back to what you said at the start, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's a challenge being an advisor in this travel world. I mean, I think even before these challenges, advising people on where to go and dealing with all sorts of external environmental factors certainly makes for a challenging role. But that's why you sign up to do it. You've got to kind of embrace that the flexibility and the sheer variety that comes with it. And certainly COVID has brought immense challenges. Cambodia is an interesting one, and look, I ultimately think it's a big decision, but it's a brave decision from the government. And the one thing I think you can say is travel and tourism really matters to Cambodia. I think it's about 33% of their GDP. So this isn't a sort of a decision they would take lightly. I kind of actually applaud their focus on actually really trying to kind of control and handle it in their own way. I think it's certainly going to be difficult. I think any customer when sort of faced with a big deposit to put down to enter a country will have to think it's an additional thing to think about. Equally, Cambodia is a very, very special place. I think
it's not only a big deposit; it's also covering your funeral, which is not what you're thinking about.
Well, this is the point. Right. To what you said, doesn't spook people. It's certainly going to be. Is that a great? Is that going to sell someone going there? That's going to be more challenging. And I think the other thing though is also having sort of dug into that scheme, it comes with a lot of responsibility on you for what happens to other people. So if one person tests positive on that flight, everyone on the flight has to go into quarantine for 14 days. So yeah, I think it's certainly going to have an impact. I don't think it'd be possible to kind of say that it wouldn't. I think the one thing it does do is really puts the onus on the traveller to make sure they know their personal health and state of affairs. But look, we're seeing around the world, we're going to see for a while a completely varied response to how people are going to kind of control their borders, which is certainly going to be a big challenge for the travel industry. Yeah. Until we get anything like a standard protocol for traveling between different countries, which I know the WTTC is looking at, which is hugely challenging, you're going to have probably a lot of instances like this. All I can say is, it's an amazing country. It's a strong position to take. Do I think it'll be impacted in the short term? Yeah, I think it will. But I also, knowing how important tourism is to them, I also respect that they're accepting that it's going to have an impact, but they want to control it.
Yeah, and I think listen, if they have zero COVID, deaths there, like that becomes a really attractive place to go, right? Only 141 cases, so it becomes attractive, but you have to be willing to, I guess, put that deposit down. Yeah.
That's it. It's attractive to go, but it's whether
right.
Like a lot of these places, it's whether it's changing and whether you have the time or to risk it and everything that goes with it. And again, it's just to my earlier point, it's the consideration set is changing all the time. Suddenly things that you wouldn't have to think about are now some of the driving factors in terms of how and where you're going to travel. And, Cambodia to a lot of people feel extreme, but, it's their policy and we'll see how it goes.
I respect it. Some luxury hoteliers are seeing signs of over-the-top spending. I was on this roundtable last week with a couple of GMs who were talking about how their clients are coming in, their guests are coming in, and they're going into the bar and they're ordering like 20 bottles of Dom Perignon at a time, and they're partying like it's 1999. So Arnaud, are you seeing this revenge spending trend in hotels? I mean, everyone's been pent up. Do you anticipate this trend will continue in spite of its direct contrast with people's desire to seek privacy? How do you see these like two contrary forces evolving over the next year?
Yes and no. We do see, of course, some over-the-top spending, as you say, especially this summer, in our Italian hotels. But at the same time, I think what is different is that people are a trip now is before we were traveling, it was almost like FMCG, it was kind of like fast moving consumer good. To tomorrow and this summer, it has to worth it, and that's why maybe people are more engaged financially, but also I think, emotionally. So they want to have those kind of experiences that you will remember forever. And this is going to be very important in the future. I think they're going to travel less often, maybe for longer period of time. So it means that they will invest more, and they want each trip to be only the exceptional. So this is also somehow a way for them. It's financial, but it's also emotional. And I think that there was a shift in the way we travel, and how people approach travel is going to be very different in the future. But yeah, we see some buyouts coming for the winter in the Caribbean. Our path actually is quite good, plus 20% versus last year for 2021. So we see a real engagement from guests who wants to travel again, and that's good. But at the same time, I think people want to really also engage with the simple luxury, you know. So I always say that glass of Pinot Grigio on the terrace of Splendido in Portofino, it's quite magic, you know. It's simple, and it's how you reconnect to what matters most: nature, culture, well-being, and with your friends, your family. So I think it's all about like this also notion of travel nostalgia is back, and what does it mean travel? And the journey is as important as the destination, and it's all about engaging with the destination.
Yeah, take me to that terrace now. Anyway, we're running out of time.
I was there last week.
It sounds magical, but anyway, we're running out of time. So I want to ask before we end one last question, which is a look at the future. And at first, I was going to say it's June 30th, 2022, but I changed my mind. It's now June 30th, 2025. Right? What will luxury travel look like? Like, do you think it's going to look like it was in 2019? Or do you think we're going to see some dramatic shifts ahead that are going to be here to stay for the long run? Real quickly, Tom, give me your thought on that.
It's a hard one to answer quickly, but I'll try. I think for me, by that stage, the luxury is all going to be about sense of connection and the depth of connection. I think we're going to see a shift away from this quick ephemeral hits, you know, in and out. Yeah. I think people are going to go for probably travel as much, but go for as long in terms of absolute days, but travel less. They'll go and find deep sense of connections with places. To Arnaud's point, I think familiarity is going to be big. People want to kind of have home from homes and reconnect to places, but whilst finding, you know, their old places, discovering new friends along the way will be key. I think our service levels will be through the roof. I think what this period is doing is I mean, for luxury brands, they're pretty good at service anyway, but it's going to lift it. And I think everyone from your travel advisor to your hotel GM, because of virtual technology, it's going to become an even more integral part of your planning and your family in terms of how you look ahead. And I think the dashboard of travel for that year will shift to kind of a mix of some home from home travel, and then the really, really unique experience once or twice a year. So I think the blend is going to change. So less ephemeral weekend hits, deeper experiences, familiar,
deeper immersive trips. Yeah. Arnaud, 30 seconds. How is it going to look in 2025?
I don't know if we want to follow trends. I think we want to follow our guests, you know, and what are they going to say and what do they want. So I think what is important for us is to really engage more and more with our guests through, you know, social media, through CRM, through clienteling, find synergies. And I think it's going to be very important for us to listen to them, and when the demand for travel will be back, we will be there to deliver only the exceptional and what they want. And I think these kind of events like today also help us to capture trends and to make sure that all of us, part of the travel industry, between brands, with travel agents, we work together to make that rebound as strong as possible, and to make sure that we build the luxury travel of tomorrow's.
Yeah. Well, as you were talking, there was, I don't know if you heard it, but a plane going overhead. And that means that people are going somewhere right now, and that's a good sign. And I look forward to seeing you soon again in person. Thank you both for this discussion and for joining us at Skift Forum Europe.
Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you for the discussion.
Thanks, guys.